And away we go. The air is hot soup, the ground is molten lava, and never thought I'd sweat this much in my entire life. That's pretty much what the weather is like today as I'm recording this. Now, thankfully, the next few days, temperatures are going to drop. However, it won't be enough for what I am putting up with at the moment. So, with the monologue about the weather out the way, let's see what me, Eric, or Risk have sent into the group chat. Risk11 has sent a text message into our podcast group chat. It reads, UK government looking to go after dividend in stocks and share ISA. God, they so evil. Well, not the kind of words I would use. However, this is more of a case of why. Not just why is the UK government going after dividends made from stocks and shares ISAs? Also, why was it even set up in the first place? If the current UK government are wanting to take as much money out of rich people as possible to fund whatever public services that is provided to the UK people. I have no problem with public services. I would argue, in my opinion, that the taxes that's being paid is a tad too high for my liking. That's not to say you shouldn't pay taxes. The tax rates, most of them are, again, it can be adjusted in. I believe that even after paying taxes, there should be money left over, especially for those that are just trying to get by, to use whatever money's left over to cover the costs of their homes, the rents, the energy costs, and to buy groceries. That's absolutely needed in their day-to-day lives. I don't know why I thought my headset would go off when I disconnected from my iPhone. Anyway, that's a problem for another time. So, UK government, stocks and shares ISAs, why are they going after them? Well, okay. If the UK government is going to do something, well, this is what the UK electorate had voted for. So now, anyone that hasn't voted for the parties currently in charge, well, critique away. But for those who have voted, would you still vote for them? And for those that have looked back on it, which party would you vote for next time after that general election and whatever local elections have taken place? So it doesn't have to be an answer now, it's just something to think about. So yeah, I was asking the question, not just why the UK government is going after stocks and shares ISAs, dividends now, also why was the concept of stock and shares ISAs came into existence to begin with? I'd assume that the stocks and shares ISAs, mainly the concept of the Tories or the previous Labour government under Tony Blair. I'm not sure about that, I'll have to look that up. Nonetheless, the impact of the stocks and shares ISAs that the UK populace kind of knows about, and the small percentage of them actually use it. Okay, I've looked at the stocks and shares ISAs, or just broadly ISA, individual savings accounts. It was first introduced in 1999, which was the year when Tony Blair was Prime Minister. So I'm not saying I'm spot on with that. I know it was somewhere around that era when ISAs as a whole came into existence. So yeah, I'm just reading the changes. Alright, so now to end off with what Risk 11 was talking about, the UK government going after dividends in stocks and shares ISAs. Couldn't have done that sooner. And if they had done it sooner, well, not that the complaints will be any less worse, at least it is done sooner than later. If not later, then certainly late. If not then, if not that, then certainly later. Better later than never. So, I'll leave it at that. Anyone using an ISA? Well, you may think it benefits you, which it does to some extent. you also got to be cautious about what changes can be made to your ISA, anyway in the UK, to ensure that you still get whatever benefits comes out of it. It won't harm you to know a little more about financial education and whatever laws are put in place. That's at least something that should be expected amongst lots of people. You don't have to know everything that's ever existed, ever. At least the ones that you should be made aware of, given that you interact with certain services and there are laws associated with said service, which, if you knew about it sooner, you know what to do to not be in violation of said law. That's just me. I believe that would be very useful for a lot of people to know what laws are in place and what you can't do in certain circumstances or areas. Not that the police won't come after you. It's important you understand what's in place, not just that you don't get intervened by authorities. It at least helps you understand our way of life. You don't have to agree with it, that's just how it is. And if people have a problem with what's in place, then at least try to have a peaceful demonstration. There's no need for violence. That's one thing I strongly advise. No violence whatsoever. It's important that you're open about what you believe in, yet also try to be civilized and peaceful to the best of your ability. And yeah, that's pretty much more than enough I've said. Into Risk 11, what he commented, or text, and bada boom, bada bing. Something like that. And that is a lot. That is all that's been sent to the podcast group chat as of the last time I recorded a podcast episode. With that all being said, let's get right into the news. Whoopi Goldberg apologizes after calling House Speaker a moron on The View. You know what? I can't say I'm surprised. Well, that again, I know there's going to be people that are going to be open with their opinions. But I digress. The co-hosts of The View returned from their Memorial Day weekend break on Tuesday, May 26th, live episode, and moderator Whoopi Goldberg had to do another instant retraction of something that came out of her mouth in a fiery moment of hot topic discussions. While welcoming Senator Chris Murphy to the table to discuss his new book and the state of current events, the subject of the Iran war and Donald Trump's claim that a potential deal is in the works to end it was discussed first and foremost. I want this war to end as soon as possible. I mean, every single day that this war continues, the country gets weaker, Iran gets stronger, families are being devastated here. So you know this is not going to be a good deal. But right now, we just need the war to end, Murphy said. What he's talking about is pretty ridiculous. He's basically talking about paying Iran money, getting rid of sanctions that we have on Iran. So giving Iran billions of dollars just so that we can get back to where we were before the war started. The Strait of Hormuz is opening again. Well, we didn't have to go through this whole misery. If we all wanted was the Strait of Hormuz to be open, it was open. But the bottom line is, every day this war goes on, we get weaker, they get stronger. So even though this is not a good deal, I'll take it, because we need to. We need to bring our troops on. We should lose a single additional American. We spend so much money on this war, we've got to get gas prices down. When asked why Republicans in Congress tabled a vote about the Iran war powers, Murphy said, "We've been bringing a resolution and forcing a vote in the Senate every single week to end the war. And in the Senate last week, for the first time, we've got enough Republicans so that we now have a majority. The House would have a majority as well, but because they don't want to embarrass the president, the House has decided to cancel a vote on a resolution that would put both the House and the Senate on the same side, ending the war with a bipartisan vote. So listen, I think the House should do the right thing. They should schedule that vote. Republicans and Democrats will join together in saying this war is a disaster, and it will put additional pressure on the president to end this war, get gas prices down, and start thinking about Americans. That's when Goldberg slipped to say the House Speaker Mike Johnson, who decided not to allow the vote in the House chamber, he's a moron, she said. She then immediately regretted her words and issued an apology saying, I'm sorry, that came out of my mouth, and I take it back. However, she wasn't done issuing sharp takes when the subject of Donald Trump's desire East Wing ballroom build and that asked for over $1 billion pay taxpayer money to fund it. She said, I don't know why anybody wants this. I cannot get over the fact that Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Then suddenly it was our wall. You said this one is gonna pay for this one. I don't want to pay for it. I said I would only pay for it if he left. Timothy agreed, saying nobody wants to pay for billionaire parties, right? I mean, that's what this that's what this is. He's essentially asking taxpayers to pay for his billionaire and corporate parties at the White House. This might be the most corrupt thing he has done. So, that's quite the story, and it was going to happen at some point. I'm talking like ending the war, not just ending the war. Also, actually, that's it. I don't know what I was thinking. So yeah, so I will say in defense of Whoopi Goldberg, which I know not all the people would be on board with. Look, she's entitled to her opinions. She's allowed to say that. I don't agree with this. I don't think he's a smart guy, she would say. That is not to say you should go bad-mouthing politicians for literally anything they do. What I'm saying is, if people have an opinion, then let them say what the opinion they have. It is better to have someone said something than for no one to say anything whatsoever, even if they are being threatened not to say something. I don't like to see that. And even if people would disagree with such comments by Whoopi Goldberg, again, America is mostly a free country. Why wouldn't she be allowed to say what she wants to say, or what she thinks of what situations goes on? And same would be said for people that would would side with House Speaker and the President. As it's unpopular it is to say that things aren't going the way they should, or people are doing the best they can despite dire circumstances. Someone is going to say something, whether we like it or not. I will end off with this, and I've said this many times already. I will say it again. Whatever goes on in Iran, please stop. Just enough is enough, man. Even if it is embarrassing to say, "Oh, we've lost. We haven't done our job properly," at least it is better to admit your mistakes than to keep going whatever lies goes on in your head. And it does not matter what people think I'm referring to. That is something that would apply in any other circumstance outside of this particular circumstance. So please, whatever goes on in Iran, it has to stop. Seriously, I am urging you to stop the violence. Not just for the Iranian people, but also for the American soldiers. Just stop the violence, man. Even if it is profitable, is it worth losing lives? I don't think so. Micron joins $1 trillion club as AI race powers memory chip boom. On Tuesday, Micron Technology topped $1 trillion in market value for the first time, with shares surging 18% to a record $886.60 driven by strong artificial intelligence demand for memory chips. Explosive demand for AI has created a global memory shortage, allowing chip makers like Micron to raise prices while memory chips' central role in artificial intelligence infrastructure reflects a broader investor shift toward big tech's massive spending plans. UBS nearly tripled its price target to $1,625 from $535, the highest among 46 brokerages. While Micron's entire 2026 high bandwidth memory chip supply is already sold out, signaling demand far outstripping capacity. About 2,440 institutions disclosed new positions in Micron, including Rockefeller Capital Management and Schroders. While the milestone gives the US a strong contender in a memory chip race, largely led by Asia, Micron's entry into the exclusive $1 trillion club marks a sharp rebound from the post-pandemic supply glut era, with next-generation HBM4 products now in production and the company trading at 8.42 times expecting earnings versus 22.15 for the S&P 500. It's back, guys. The AI is back in the news again, and it's making companies so rich they're now having a market valuation of $1 trillion, which it was expected. Most people are like, no way, there's no way this company's just worth trillions of dollars. Well, no, there's your answer. That story just pretty much answers your question. There is now a company, if not already other companies, with a market valuation of $1 trillion US, and that is continuing to grow. Not just for the demand of AI for amongst companies, despite deep sentiment and outrage amongst a majority of the world's population because of AI being able to complete jobs at whatever rates that outpaces humans. And rightfully so, the humans are not happy with that. Micron is going to also continue to grow as their demand amongst other companies and organizations is also continuing to grow. So Micron is going to have to pick up the pace, if it can catch up, that is. Either way, that's just, unfortunately, and I'm not saying I'd agree with this, that is how the world is going right now. And even if it does have a major risk factor in job opportunities and other costs, which turn out to be a lot higher than originally expected, they're going to continue pushing it. Just like how people were pushing for the hantavirus to be worldwide news coverage and say that the threat of hantavirus is going to threaten us all, yet there hasn't been much about the hantavirus since who knows how long it's been since we heard about it. And if it's ever going to be as much of a threat as Ebola, which it is spreading, and it has a rate of mortality, like the rates of how people would be unalived by said virus. AI is no different in this. No matter how many people, businesses, and organizations are pushing for artificial intelligence to be used in day-to-day lives, there's going to be drawbacks. Not just in terms of the cost it takes to run the AI, also the absence of the qualities and the skills that only humans possess that AI apparently does not have. And probably for a very long time, AI will never have the qualities or skills that humans possess. Galway footballer Sean Fitzgerald joins Love Island 2026. The fudge? Galway footballer Sean Fitzgerald will be in Mallorca for the 13th season of Love Island. The reality television show returns on Monday, June 1st, on Virgin Media. The first contestants were unveiled on Tuesday with Robin, Lorenzo, Mika, Ellie, and Samraj set to join Sean in the villa. When asked what his type is, the 25-year-old primary school teacher said, female. Of course it is. He said he hopes cocky people and those with dry personalities are not a theme in the villa. Sean said that while he is going into the villa looking for love, he is also here for drama. I won't be getting involved in it. I might be mixing it, he said. When asked what foul would earn him a red card if VAR reviewed his flirting game, he said, I play Gaelic football, so we're called jersey pullers. I might pull out the county card, but maybe using the county bolo won't work in this sport. Keeping up the GAA theme, Sean said his relationship strategy is to play forward and if it's not on, pass it back and go forward again. Eventually, you'll get a goal, he said. If I see someone I like, I'm going for it, and nothing's gonna stop me. Okay, good, alright, good for him. Honestly, I don't give a damn. And nothing against Love Island or the people on it, it's just, so what? It's just everyday life for us. The only difference is, you got cameras in your face, and there's like, good-looking people with chiseled bodies and slim body structures, whatever people think is sexy these days. It is setting unrealistic beauty standards, which is not possible for a lot of people. And even if people do try, well, you're never going to get the results that you want to achieve. Now, I may not have watched Love Island. I don't think I'll ever watch Love Island in my life. And how would I react if any of my family members or children, if I have them, were to appear on Love Island at any point in their lives? Well, to be honest, so long as they're successful in what they're doing, for all the right reasons, then I have nothing to complain from there. Otherwise, it's not for me. I wouldn't advise it. If you want to find love, find someone that you can connect with. You share the same interests or have something in common or whatnot. Love isn't about what you look like on the outside. It's about what's on the inside. I know it's cheesy or corny. It is true though. And unfortunately, as social media becomes more accessible and more superficial, and everyone that creates content has the motivation to get as many engagement as possible, however they believe would benefit them, this is the gradual decline of high quality society. What do I know about high quality society? I wasn't even there to begin with. I never said I was a part of it. It's something I want to be a part of. And what you describe, or how people would describe as high quality society, I'm not talking about free of drama. Not a society where everyone is the same. It is living life where things just make sense, practically make sense, and everyone can easily get on the same page with whatever we're discussing. It's not to say that people should have the same opinions or say the same things in a creepily unison way. At least when you talk about something, everyone's on the same page. That's something I like to see. And whilst everyone is going to have their differences, which it's okay to have, it would be a problem if, for whatever reason, people get off to a shaky start and things don't work out the way they should. And that's all I can think of about right now. I will end off on one last thing. Whoever wins Love Island, with whichever couple, hopefully you have a good life and Hopefully you don't become a nuisance to society. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, because I don't know who these people are, or what their faces look like, or the exact names in full. Hopefully, you go and have a good life, and hopefully you use your influence for the positive aspects that everyone strives to be, and that is all. That's all I will say. Teenager Kwame becomes youngest male Grand Slam match winner in 17 years. On Tuesday, French teenager Moise Kwame announced himself on the Grand Slam stage in empathetic fashion, defeating former US Open champion Marin Cilic 7-6, 4, 6-2, 6-1 at Roland Garros to become the youngest man to win a major main draw match in 17 years. Quirm's background run caps a rapid rise this season, winning his first tour-level match at the Miami Open in March, becoming the youngest man to win a Masters match since Rafael Nadal in 2003, then practicing with world number one Jannik Sinner at Monte Carlo in April. At 17 years and 2 months old, Quirm is now the youngest man to reach the second round of Roland Garros since Romania's Dino Piscariu in 1991, and according to Opta, the youngest player in the Open era to defeat a former Grand Slam champion at Roland Garros. Quam will face Paraguay's Adolfo Daniel Vallejo in the second round after 20th seed Cameron Norrie retired injured. The teenager credited his success to mental composure. I always try to stay in the present moment and not think too much about the score. Coached by France's former world number 7, Richard Gasquet, the Paris-born Kwame's emergence signals a changing of the guard in French tennis, arriving just a night after Gaël Monfils departed Roland Garros. The teenager reflected, It's a lot of emotion. It's exceptional. Wow. Young French tennis player. Nice. Sounds pretty cool. Not that cool, but still cool nonetheless. And what a journey that is. Surely, Kwame is going to go on to do great things in the future. Now, I'm not sure if he will ever reach the same levels as the previous world number ones, or any of the top 5 in the world. Nonetheless, there is a bright future at such a young age. There is so much more potential that is yet to be tapped into. And the historic moments in tennis that are yet to come between Quam, or whatever tennis player is also in the top 10 world rankings, or at least somewhere in the top 30 or top 20. I'm not sure how often is what happens. Either way, it's for such a young player, it's a good start. Surely, there's going to be a lot of pressure from the public for him to do very well in the next few years that he continues to play. That should not take away the greatest ability that Quam currently possesses and is able to pull off in the next few years. And that is it for the episode.